Welcome back. Do you mind if I record our session?
Not at all.
So tell me how things have been since I last saw you.
Things have been improving. We're getting closer to graduation, so that's a lot of excitement. Different family members getting involved. Everybody trying to come up and support the big ceremony, the big finish.
And I know you talked about a little bit last time about your parents and your family situation to an extent. How do you feel about them all coming out here and supporting you?
Not all, but the ones that are coming out here, I'm very proud to have them here. I mean, it's an honor because, again, you have people who have supported me financially through college. They have, even just advice and conversation and getting through different times in my life as I'm transitioning and becoming a young adult. People just continuously showing that they care and being, present is a very big deal for me. So just a lot of them coming up here, showing their faces, showing their excitement, waving waving, screaming while I'm walking. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it seemed like you're looking forward to it.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. This was like a 5-year chapter for me. A lot of different things happen along the way, but stay consistent, and ultimately we finally get to the end of the road, and you're like, this is not anywhere close to the end of the road. This is just the next step in building of the person that you're going to become, the adult who you're going to become, and different responsibilities that comes along the way. So,
do you have any plans for after graduation since it's closer now?
After plans is getting to the point where I'm like in a stage where I know exactly what I want to do, as opposed to different opportunities that I've been offered along the way, and certain opportunities that I've started to look at, because me personally, I have this incline to help people, and so there's different educational opportunities that have arisen. So I've been kind of intrigued that way too.
I like hearing about your atmosphere and everything that's going on around you, but what are your feelings going on inside? Like, how are you feeling about everything going on?
There's a lot of excitement, of course. Feeling of excitement because you're proud of what you do, proud of what you become. Of course, you're going to be nervous because this is the beginning of you taking like true steps to being on your own. It's not, college is still sort of a safety net in a sense, but now you're stepping a little bit further into the water, and now you're getting into deeper parts, and you gotta test. People are saying sink or swim. It's not that necessarily, because we're still so young. It's just about getting your feet wet and progressing and still growing as a person, not just being so stagnant and being afraid to take on new challenges along the way. So I'm excited about the challenges that may come along the way. As we're graduating, there's thousands more kids graduating or in the same class as us. So it's a lot of competition out there, but you have to be confident in yourself, and I'm pretty confident.
So then what brings you here today if you're feeling really good?
What brings me here today is, just because you're feeling very good doesn't necessarily mean that you don't also think about the things that can go wrong, because you're taking risks. I mean, coming to college is a risk in itself. You take out a lot of loans. Some people have parents that pay for everything. Again, my particular family situation, I kind of came out of pocket a lot of it, and then different grants and different loans that I had to take out for myself. So you're still planning your future, and you still get nervous, and along with all of that excitement, you gotta worry about, did you execute everything correctly? Did I go the right way? Did I give it everything I had to get to this point? And with all the positives, you still gotta worry about the minor little details in between that you could have got wrong. So
So what is your biggest fear about graduating?
I would have to say my biggest fear about graduating is getting too comfortable, like coming out of college and accepting something that I truly know I don't want to do, and getting comfortable in it because financially it's comfortable. Because a lot of adults along the way, even people in my family, they got into jobs and different engineering positions and technical positions like one of my aunts, and you get comfortable being in that position, but you truly know deep down inside that's not what you really want to do with the rest of your life. And I hope that I continue to stay the person that I am. Sometimes I'm prideful and stubborn, but with that pridefulness and that stubbornness, it gives me the ability to know what I want for myself and what I want to bring around me and the things that I want to bring. So I don't get too comfortable and stagnant and say, hey, this is not working for me. This is not what I want to develop and grow into being. So let me not stay here. Let me move forward and take on something else. I hope I don't get stagnant.
So listening to what you said about finances and financial means and not being stagnant and getting comfortable, has that happened to you in the past with your family?
Oh, growing up was a little different for me. Growing up, in terms of financially, we were on, I'd say, the lower end of the income spectrum. So, you go from there to not having a lot and being raised in a household with your siblings and different things. And you go from that point to where, boom, your family and the breadwinner in your house starts earning more money. And you yourself as a teen and adolescence, you start taking on jobs. So you start to earn more money for yourself. And then you get into lower businesses. And then now you're completely in a different financial situation than you were before. But you never forget the little trials and tribulations along the way. The meals that you had to eat, different things that, different substitutions that you had to take to get to where you were not only just surviving, but comfortable and where you were financially and all the things. Because growing up as a kid in adolescence and innocence, you don't really notice where you are financially most times. Most kids don't. You might have different interactions with other kids, and then those conversations may draw you to know that you're financially different. Because I remember growing up and different kids, I would be friends with different kids, and different kids might say something to those kids, like, hey, like, your shoes aren't what they need to be. And I've been in situations where I've gone home and I've told family members, like, hey, this kid got picked on because of his shoes, and my family, getting money together and buying that kid a pair of shoes, just so he doesn't have to go through that again. So it's kind of like, trials and tribulations of growing up in the inner city too, but ultimately, yeah, I know the changes and shifting.
I know growing up, I had kind of like the same experience where like lower end of the spectrum of the income and wearing things that people always didn't approve of. But overall, do you feel like you had a good childhood?
Overall, I think my childhood was pretty good. I don't really have much complaints in terms of how my family was as a unit growing up. I feel like we were pretty solid. We argued, cousins, siblings, but we were always together. We always had like Sunday dinners together, Saturday mornings. We were together watching the lineup of shows, whether it was the Disney or the cartoons. So that was pretty good. And then, shifting once, like we have, you have a traumatic loss, like my grandmother passed, and then your family dynamics start to change. But for the most part, my childhood was pretty good. Teenage years was a little different, but childhood was really good.
And how did your grandma passing affect you?
She was the person that pushed me forward. She was always the person that made me challenge the now. And I really respect her for that and everything that she did. Growing up, I really didn't realize how sick she was and different things. But ultimately shifting forward, she was just a great person, a great role model, and the lessons that she taught me still stand to this day. And everybody who was around her, that was surrounded by her presence, it just illuminated off of her in a sense.
It seems like you have a lot of love for her.
Always. I mean, she wasn't perfect. That's just she was never always. I always think back even now when I laugh because I have different little memories that I keep tied up in my head that I have with her, like little small interactions. But yeah, she was one of my biggest influences. Definitely.
Now, do you think your fear of becoming stagnant and unfinancially in a correct place that you want to be springs from your grandmother?
I think it stems from
her?
childhood because, and she was a key part of that. She never really let us realize. She was one of the most involved people in my childhood. Never really realized that we were struggling. Like I said, the financial side of it never really mattered because of how happy we were being together. But again, as you get older and you think back of all those great memories and different things, you remember the different times where you're struggling like, oh man, that was actually a struggle that we were going through. And the work that I put in and the mindset that I have going forward is that I'm going to make sure that it's a stability situation, emotionally, financially, and everything else. I'm not going to let things alter that because I have such an anal mindset of what I want and how I want to bring it. I don't want things to be like Disney perfect, but I want it to be real, I want it to be raw, and I want it to be honest. So, yeah.
Are you trying to live your life for her? If she was that influential in the way you decided to live your life?
No, I don't think I'm living my life for her. I feel like she just living her life gave branch to so many different lives. Whether that was physically having children and the lines, whether it was the love and affection that she showed many people, whether it was the selflessness, whether it was her craziness at times or being erratic. You know, you take the sum of it all and you're just like, her influence will never die. I'm not living for her because I believe that she's ultimately in a better place, but I'm living for myself through the lessons that she taught me. And I built on those lessons. Some things I had to alter, but the core things that she taught me stay. So.
Gotcha. Well, sounds like we did enough for today. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for letting me hear your story.
No problem.
And we'll see you back next